Program Director, thank you very much. President of the Mineral Council, Nolita Gwede, you have been re-elected with your team. Uh, Maybe there is a lesson or two that we must come and learn from you before we go to the December conference of my party, so that we just re-elect everybody. That will be quite an important lesson. But congratulations. I think we must work harder. The first year, you are beginning to understand where the cups are, where the teaspoons are. Now, second year, there's nothing to adapt. You know everything. You touch the ground running. Thank you very much. Let me appreciate the invitation from Minerals Council South Africa to participate in the 132nd annual general meeting. I normally said 132th is the 132th annual general council of the Mineral Council. Our participation is in line with our long-standing commitment to participate in regular and meaningful engagements with the industry to bolster our relationship. Relationship between ourselves is not a choice, it's a must, and we must not fool ourselves and think that we have a choice, that we can have a relationship and we can have a relationship. I don't know if you thank the president for listening to me. I'm from a meeting with Sibanye Stillwaters, a member of the Mineral Council, South Africa. We had a long meeting. So thank you very much for recusing me for the few minutes that I was finishing up that meeting. Quite a fruitful meeting. See, the Mineral Council of South Africa is urged to continue playing its relevant role in the sector. We have observed with concern that the industry bargaining system is being dismantled in a big way. There's no longer 606. Every individual mining company negotiate with the unions is the choice of the time. But I can tell you that in the process, the whole system is systematically getting dismantled. You must remember, President, that you have another generation of trade unionists, which is younger, and I don't think you are spared of that reality as the Minerals Council as well. So there must be a focus on rebuilding collective bargaining in the industry. We can't allow ourselves to move back to pre-1983 situation in our relationships, where we treat workers as assets. Workers are not assets, they are part of the companies. We cannot allow this to happen otherwise. The industry must appreciate that it is the worker who converts investment into wealth. They deserve to be treated with respect. I therefore appeal to the industry to appreciate that it is the responsibility of all of us to avoid long and acrimonious strike action. Our country and the economy face real challenges that require overcoming such obstacles to place it on a positive and upward trajectory. In 2021, the Fraser Institute annual survey has actually rated as number 75 of 84 when it comes to investment attractiveness. I want to urge all of us to move beyond just that one item. There are 15 items in that report. The industry must analyze that report in its entirety and actually attend to where we are weak and also pay attention on how to strengthen areas where we are strong. For example, we're quite strong in an area called skills and labor availability. So that is quite a positive step. 5 of the ratings we've improved dramatically. Others are almost hovering around the same numbers. But everybody who talk about the Institute report talks about this one item. And I think it is our responsibility as the Mineral Council to persuade people to read the report in its entirety, so that when we come together to discuss it, we have a comprehensive analysis and emphasize the right points in improving our rating. We must equally reinforce the work done on areas where we're doing well. Uh, we must reinforce the work there. The industry must do a detailed analysis of this report, despite the flaws in the Institute's research methodology. Now, if you take, for example, we were rated 35, which is the skills and labor availability. Just look back, close your eyes and look back to a time when a black mine worker couldn't have a blasting certificate. And go back to those mines today, find out the majority of miners are black. So that means that is the progress that we're making. Half the time when people criticize mines, nothing is happening. And I always tell them that if you don't know where it was at point X, you can't say it is making progress at point Y. You'll have to assess the progress that is being made over a period. In a research that we did, we discovered that almost all the major mining companies have not less than 50% of their managers being black. But it is not the color that counts, it is the content of the grey matter and the contribution you make in transforming the industry. When participating in the debate of just transition, the industry must appreciate that the debate should cover the journey from high carbon emission to low carbon emissions. And I always listen to some miners say it is a journey from coal to renewables. No, it is not. It is a journey from high carbon emissions to low carbon emissions. And this sector must actually inform the content of that just transition. I always make the point that just transition must entail justice in the process. 2, it must be about people. 3, it must be about communities. It is not about numbers. It cannot be about numbers. And as a person who stayed in the IFL for a long time, I always imagine the area from Belfast to Delmas. It covers a number of areas. It covers Belfast, it covers Carolina, it covers Hendrina, it covers Middleburg, it covers Krail, it covers Woches, it covers Witbank, it covers Delmas. It's quite a big stretch of coal mining area and coal generated power stations. So if we're moving from high carbon emission to low carbon emission, we must apply our mind on what to do. We must be pragmatic. We must also allow, what do we mean by saying we must diversify the economic activity in the area? And therefore, ours is about securing not only clean energy, but also reliable energy. The energy poverty must be a subject for discussion in the Mineral Council. The sector must discuss the approach to coal in the just transition. There is a growing need to invest in clean coal technologies to ensure exploitation and efficient use of this critical mineral that we have in abundance. You know, the revenue generated by coal in the financial year 2021 was 130 billion rand. So it's quite a sizable sector. So we must not treat it with contempt as if it must disappear today and not tomorrow. And then as we move and work on transitioning from high carbon emission to low carbon emission, this industry must add the content. The industry, especially the coal sector, should seek means to collaborate with Council for Geoscience, which is undertaking research projects on carbon capture, storage and use in Mpumalanga, near Leandra. And the results and outcome of this project are critical to assisting the industry, the country at large, and what needs to be done. That is just transition. The industry must not be just a participant in that discussion. It must be in the lead and at the cutting edge of that discussion. When it comes to transformation, transformation is not just about numbers, President Sisnoliti. It's not numbers, but it's about content. The industry must discuss the role of black and female executives. You know, we've developed an expression when an executive cannot play his role, but he's there, he becomes symbolic. We're very critical of that. A black executive must use the authority to lead transformation and make the industry understand that transformation is an imperative business requirement. You not do it because you want to comply with the numbers of black faces. You do it because you want to see people contributing to the industry meaningfully. I always boast and say, it happens to happen during my time that we were president of the Mineral Council who was a female and black, and we have three major companies with with female CEOs. And every time I talk to Natasha, I always remind her, Natasha, as an Afrikaner woman, you are a beneficiary of change. And those CEOs are not symbolic. They are real CEOs. When you talk to them, you know what they put their foot down. They kick you out of the meeting if you are disruptive. And you must see that change more and more. I had a fight with somebody last week, Roger, and he said, little is happening in mining. I say, go to the financial sector if you want to say that. Not mining. Mining is changing. It's actually in a state of change. It is transforming itself. It is looking ahead to be what it should be in the future. So the transformation must be meaningful. It must contribute to economic growth and development in our country. In doing so, the industry must discuss the relations with communities it operates in. That's a new area that needs our attention. We must collectively develop a current approach to the sectors. Alongside the transformation in the workplace, we must look at the question of procurement as an area of transformation. I've been to a number of areas. I met business forums where 80% are not businessmen, but they're in a business forum. Now, the industry has a responsibility to help one another as companies. How to deal with those issues? When people walk in there and say, want business opportunities, and when you ask, what are you there, can you offer? Find that no, there is nothing to offer. The person wants an opportunity, you must imagine the opportunity, give it to him, help him do it, and so forth. But we must have as a sector a coherent approach. I've been to a few areas where that is a major, major issue. And if we don't attend to it, it can become destructive. So those emerging companies must grow to be big companies in the future. The industry must also discuss the issue of mines and shafts that are put under care and maintenance because they sterilize opportunities. Such action not only contributes to the decline in production, but also to the decline in the sector's contribution to the economic growth, and thus deprive the country of the much needed creation of employment opportunity. Our law permits us to apply the use it or lose it principle in response to the operations that deliberately sterilize deposits. We firmly believe that the country must explore prospects and mine its minerals resources for the benefit of the people of South Africa. Therefore, operational care and maintenance ought to be released to the companies that are looking for opportunities and are willing to mine. If we are a big mining company, this operation is falling outside of your strategy and your plans, give it over to somebody else. Create new companies. I'm sure my friends in Anglo, I always tell them, you have created many successful companies, continue doing so. And when they refuse and say, no, we've not decided, I tell them that it happens when you want. When it doesn't happen, it's because you don't want. Then it happens. So I think more companies must take that route. We have observed a growing temptation to insult the state by strong and powerful mining executives. Roger, when a mining executive writes an article and says there's no leadership in the country, there's no nothing like this, and you are rated 75 out of 84 by the Fraser Institute, and you say, no, but we never consulted, but the articles talk to that rating. These negative articles talk to that rating. And my second language is Sesotho. When you betray what is close to you, in Sesotho we call it buhlabaphio. That means you step on the kidney. You may think that you are attacking the state. You are attacking the sector. If you say there's no leadership, there's nothing that is happening here, you are not attacking the state, you are attacking the mining sector. We must pay attention to that issue, because if it continues, I can tell you now, I'm in government for 5 years, the experience, a lot of experience now, 5 years. It makes it so difficult to handle mining issues in the state. Because the industry is seen to be hostile, and therefore people want to dismiss anything that seeks to help the industry. We must be very careful. We have a sector to protect. We must love it. We must embrace it. The industry must further discuss the role of business association, who will also find it fashionable to insult government. Okay. And then they project themselves as talking for you, Roger. When the BLSA insults us, they project themselves as speaking for the Mineral Council of South Africa, which is a member. We have a responsibility to correct that. We must account, because some of the advantage we're having is that we know all of these people. We know when the speaker kicks up, we know it's a speaker spooning up. It's not a matter of anything, it's a speaker that has gone wrong. Now, let me talk about the exploration. I hear, President, you say we never consulted. I'm not sure of that. I think we'll have to have a discussion with the CEO of the Mineral Council, whether the Mineral Council was involved in crafting and developing the exploration strategy. I would like to get that feedback formally, because my understanding was that there was ongoing discussion between Council for Geoscience as a lead component of our department, Mineral Council involved. So I would be surprised if it was never consulted. My understanding is that there were ongoing discussions. And if we must improve it, we have a collective responsibility to improve it. That's what we should commit ourselves to do. And the industry is expected to continue to scrutinize and sharpen it towards implementation. So it is not a matter of not talking to each other. We must implement it. We must be together in the execution. What will not help is an approach that seems to want to distance itself through public statements from the process. Those statements will not help. The industry should ensure that it owns the strategy, and if it is going to be our collective effort for mining prosperity and national economic recovery, let's work together. We don't have a choice there. Now, as I draw to the conclusion, I appeal to the industry to make it its business to communicate a positive message about itself. I get very much flattered when people say, Minister did this, and the industry then come back and communicate a negative message about itself. It's not a minister, it is the sector that does these things. You know, when we took a decision to deal with the COVID-19, we took that the decision together. not the minister, it's not the wisdom of a Gwede Mantashe. We discuss, hey, listen, guys, level 5 we're opening coal, level 4 we're opening open cast, level 5 we're opening all the mines. And everybody insult us that you're going to kill mine. I say, no, no, no. Talk to the mine owners because they must actually quantify the problem so that we can all deal with that problem. So please, let's talk positive about ourselves, and we must take, without exaggerating, the challenges before us and propose reasonable solution on how we should all overcome them. I say that now on the deregulation of embedded generation, Roger, there are two applications before NERSA. It's the beginning. Let's move faster. Let's see the volume, because these things are about volumes. It's not about just symbolic project. I wish you well in your deliberations. I'm looking forward to get the outcomes of the AGM properly from you. I want to meet the officials. And I think, Roger, we must reinstate the process of from time to time, just get into a big room, talk to the CEOs in the industry, share experiences, compare notes, and lift the industry. Thank you very much.